Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice, Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I'm your host. We are going to get after it today. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you tune into these episodes. I'm grateful that you showed up today. If you listened to last week's episode about consistent action, listening to podcasts, moving your mind, reading books that actually move your mind, even just reading fantasy books, that moves your mind too. It activates creative action, power, authority, whatever. I've never really been into nonfiction. I've never been into fiction. I've only ever been into nonfiction, mindset, leadership, mental development books. And I actually didn't think I liked reading for most of my life until I learned what I liked to read. I kept trying to read fantasy, fiction, stories, and I just couldn't get into it. And then I would slave through the book and it'd turn into a task to be done versus something to be enjoyed. It was not entertainment to me. It was work. And then I learned that I really enjoyed mindset development or personal development books. So maybe you're just reading the wrong thing. But books. That is not the topic of today, but it is where I went just now. I signed up to clean our local church. So I am an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, if you did not know that. And it is a large part of my life. Everybody has their own personal opinions on religion and spirituality. I am both spiritual and religious. So that's me. We have a local congregation building. We actually have several. I live in Utah, and there are many Church of Jesus Christ buildings all over the place. But the building that I attend, if you didn't know this, those buildings are cleaned by members of the congregations. It's by volunteer base. And very, very, very few people nominate themselves to volunteer to clean the church. It is infrequent, and it is traditionally the same 4, 5, or 6 families that do it. Whether they feel obligated to or they enjoy doing it, they feel it is a good service. For whatever reason, it's always about the same people. And I'm one of those people that when I did not live in Utah, the whole congregation, because the congregation was so small, would show up and clean. It got it done very, very quickly. When I lived in Utah, or as I've lived in Utah, the group of people that do it is pretty small. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not. And in this case, in this instance, I was the person with the keys because I am more of a leadership position. And so I have keys to the building, opened the building, got things moving, got the lights on, so on and so forth. We have these zones. And zones are designated to be a family to do it. Well, my wife is at home, pregnant, and with our boys. So I handle our family position, zone. I chose the bathrooms. I typically choose either vacuuming or bathrooms because people don't want to do it. Because people don't want to do it, I typically blast through it. It's kind of this weird caveat. It's actually very simple, very straightforward, and you don't go very far. And it's very easy to do. But for some people, they just have a resistance to cleaning a bathroom. So I'm cleaning the bathrooms, and I get to the front foyer where the atrium is. And I see these fairly young teenagers, so probably 13, 14, 15 range, cleaning the windows, cleaning the glass doors and the windows around the atrium. And as they're cleaning, I kind of just noticed, because I've been there before where families are there and the teenagers are sitting on the couch on their phone, not cleaning, and the parents are the ones cleaning. These teenagers were actively engaged, and they were cleaning the windows, and they sucked at it terribly. They were using a cleaner and mostly smearing the dirt on the glass. So it's leaving residue, it's leaving streaks, it's super cloudy. It probably looked better before it was cleaned by them. And I noticed this when they were cleaning. And I continued on my way and did my thing. And I'm one of those people that when I clean a mirror, clean a window, if there's a residue, I'm going to go get another rag and I'm going to clean the residue off or clean the cloudiness off so it's clear and appears clean, because it is clean. And I'm just one of those people that has a little bit higher standard. I was on my hands and knees. The number one thing that most people clean or miss cleaning is behind the toilet and where the bolts are on a toilet. Those typically get pretty nasty when there's boys. Go figure, the women's bathroom was way dirtier than the boys' bathroom or the men's bathroom. But I'm on my hands and knees cleaning that kind of stuff, cleaning the ring around the toilet, that kind of stuff. I take pride in the standard to which I hold myself when I do things. And I'm watching these kids. And my initial thought was, man, that's so dirty. I'll probably have to come clean it afterwards. And then I kind of pondered more about the previous teens that I've seen sitting on their phones. These are teenage kids that have volunteered their time at 8 in the morning on a Saturday when most teenagers are asleep. And they are doing the best to which they know how. Their standard is not as high as mine because I have more experience in the thing. I have been trained to a higher standard in many aspects of life, not just cleaning a window, but just in general well-being, life, living. My standard is higher than a general person in population, in civilization. So why am I placing my standard on these kids? The fact that they're even here says a lot about them. They're not getting paid for this. Yeah, you can say their parents made them, but their parents didn't make them. Let's be honest. If a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid did not want to do something, there is pretty little a parent can do to make them. They can cause consequences, take away keys, take away privileges, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, the teen still chooses to do the action. These teens chose to be at a church, to be actively engaged at 8 in the morning on a Saturday. They could have been asleep. They could have not come. They could have been friends. They could have done a lot of things, but they were at the church cleaning these windows. So one, I applauded them for their effort, for their action, and for what they were doing. And then I finished my rounds. I was the first at the church. I opened the doors, so I was the first there, and I knew I was by myself doing a full family zone. So I gave myself more time. I was the first there, and I was the last to leave. And as I was leaving, I saw all the windows. And one of my thoughts, as I said previously, was, man, I might need to clean those. And then I stopped myself. I pondered for a moment. And I looked. And these kids did the best of their ability. At least we're going to assume for the sake of the story, they did the best of their ability. At the time they were given, with the time allotted, with the energy they had, they did their best. If I were to go do it for them or do it again, one, it would have negated them. It probably would have been easier for me just to do it in the first place. But that replaces their effort and consumes mine. You see where I'm going with this? It was 9 in the morning by the time I'm done, right? I took an hour, was there from 8 to 9, Saturday morning. I had a lot of things on my plate that day. Tons of things around the house, with my kids, with my family, work, because being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, I work 7 days a week. I had a lot of stuff planned for that day, and it was just getting going. Well, to be honest, I got up at like 4:45 because that's when I get up. But it's besides the point. That's my gym time and my meditation time and my journaling time. So that's like separate. I don't really put that in way of day getting going. I could have utilized my capacity, my energy. Think of your energy like a capacitor or a battery. I could have utilized some of my energy to go and fix, or not necessarily fix because it wasn't broken, raise the standard to which these windows in the entire building were cleaned. They spent an hour doing it, and that was 3 or 4 teenagers. It probably would have taken me an hour and a half, maybe an hour, to go back and do it again and make it a higher standard. Would it make a difference in the experience of the attendees of the church? Most people would not notice it. I do because my standard's that high. Those with high standards will notice it, but those that don't have that level of standard are not going to notice. Is it better to utilize my energy, my time, my capacity in improving the standard for these teenagers, or is it better to put it towards the things that I'd previously planned? That was the question that I had for myself. It was not, I should probably do this better for them. I should fix it. There's nothing to fix. As I said, it wasn't broken. It's just the standard was not as high. But that is the dilemma that I had in my head. Utilize capacity or reserve capacity. I chose cognitively, intentionally, to reserve capacity. I came with the intention of cleaning my zone, opening the building, closing the building. I accomplished the task at hand. How often are you doing other people's tasks? Maybe it's not to your standard, but how often are you doing other people's tasks and then not getting all of yours done because you used capacity, you used energy? And then if you tried to get yours done or you did get yours done, what did you sacrifice? What did you put in place of it? Did you remove family time? Did you remove gym time? Did you remove personal meditative time? Did you remove sleep, recovery time? What did you remove to do that? Because you removed something. We live in a zero-sum game. There is 24 hours in a day. Don't let any of these ding-dongs tell you, oh, you can live 3 days in a day. There's 24 hours. It depends on how efficient you are in that 24 hours. What did you replace? Because it is a zero-sum. Maybe you replaced sitting on the couch and staring at the wall. Whatever you replaced something. Was it worth it? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But if you do this often enough in life, it's not worth it because that's called burnout. Maybe you are burning yourself out because at work you're doing your job, but other people are not doing to your standards. So you raise the standard in what they did. They did it, then you went and did it again because the standard was not to your level. If you do this in a workplace, I have been this person, by the way, that raised the standard. I was an executive. And so sometimes my managers would not do something. They would do it, but not to my standard. So I would go do it again and raise the standard. One, that burns you out like crazy. And two, that does not allow that manager to be taught. If you're always raising the standard for them, they are not getting the learning to raise it themselves. And if they don't raise it themselves, they can be let go and have their standards somewhere else. It does not allow people to be righteously judged. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, dog? Name that movie. Such a funny movie. Meet the Millers, by the way. Man, brain fart. I thwarted myself. How important it is to let other people do to their standard so they can be righteously judged, or they have the ability to learn more. But even more important, beyond all of that, do what you are set out to do at the ability and capacity you're able to do it, aka your standard, and then let other people be themselves. Keep on task. If you're constantly going back and doing other people's stuff, you are either not doing your tasks subpar, or replacing things you had in place. Things that you deem lower priority, which are typically your health, your family, and your sleep. One of those three typically gets knocked off the list. Almost always. So, think about where you are placing your energy, your capacity, and your overall well-being. That's what I learned from watching these teenagers washing windows. If you go back to last episode, I talk about thinking deeply about stuff. How often are you looking at teenagers cleaning a window and thinking about things like this? Maybe you should. Maybe you should think deeper about the things you're doing versus just meaningless, thoughtless, floating through life like a leaf in the wind. Maybe you should do more in your head and less with your body. Maybe you're doing too much with your body. Slow it down. Think about it. There it is. Think. And I leave this conversation with you on that topic. You can find me on socials, Mr. Brad Draper. You can find me pretty much everywhere with Mr. Brad Draper. Nice and easy. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.